Again, thank you everybody for joining us today. I'm Adam Leonberger. I am the Franklin County Extension Agent for Horticulture. If we can get everybody again just to put your name and county into the chat box for our attendance. And we'll get started here in just a second. Got some more people coming in as I click them, let them in. We're going to get started. It is 12:01, so we'll go ahead with that. Today we have Faye Koosman. She is the horticulture agent in Woodford County. She's going to be talking with us a bit about rain barrels and why we want to use them, and showing a couple of videos along with that. So.
All right, thanks, Adam. And Adam and I we had thought about doing this as like a live demonstration, because that's what we're used to doing for rain barrel workshops, is of course an in-person class where you get the rain barrel and we get to make it, which hopefully maybe we can do something like that in the fall. But for now, we're doing this online. And we did record a video last week of me constructing one. So we'll show you that. So at least you get the hands-on demonstration part of it during this presentation. And this is our second from last class in this series. So kind of sad. We've been doing this since January, but it may be, as we start to get back in person for classes, we may continue this in the fall, or kind of switch to, in person and virtual. All counties are kind of doing different things right now. So we'll see how that goes. But thank you all for joining us today, and definitely join us for our last class next week on Thursday for composting. So I'm going to share my screen and get started so we can talk about rain barrels today. Okay, let's see here. I want to see, there we go. And I'm going to start the presentation on screen here. And Adam, if you can or Jessica, if you can let me know you see this, just to be sure.
Yes, you're good.
Awesome, thanks, Jessica. Okay, so we're going to talk about rain barrels today. So thanks for joining us, and we're going to be learning all about water conservation and building rain barrels and how that can help in conserving water. So what is a rain barrel? A rain barrel is basically a simple and inexpensive way to conserve fresh rainwater, and collecting it by storing it from our rooftops. So why use a rain barrel? So there's many different reasons to use a rain barrel. And I wish I had, in class to kind of do or talk about if maybe you already have a rain barrel and some reasons, but the two that I'm going to cover just as important keys are reducing municipal water use, and then thus saving money on our water bills, and then reducing stormwater runoff, which is super important. And I'll key in on that especially. And of course, that in turn helps keep our streams clean. And a rain barrel can save most homeowners about 1,300 gallons of water each year if used properly throughout the season. So to understand stormwater and why we're using rain barrels and why that's important to collect stormwater so it doesn't go into the streams, it's important to understand what a watershed is. So a watershed is the area of land that drains to a particular point along a stream. So all of us live in a watershed. So it's all that point of where the rainwater is coming and going through the ground and then going into streams. We're going to watch a quick video on what a watershed is, because I think this is helpful. So I'm going to stop sharing and reshare to the screen with the video. And I'll optimize my screen, and hopefully you all can see this. Can you now see the screen with the world on it, the earth on it?
Yes.
Great, thanks.
Wherever you live on this earth, you live in a
Sound okay?
Yes.
Okay,
watershed. A watershed is a drainage basin, any area of the earth draining into a particular pond, river, or lake. The watershed of this pond, for instance, is the entire area of the earth that drains to the pond. The watershed of the pond and neighboring watersheds combine to form a larger watershed for this creek. The creek may then be part of a watershed of a small lake. It combines with other watersheds to make up the watershed of a larger river. That larger river feeds into an even larger river that has an even larger system of sub-watersheds. And finally, the ever-expanding system of watersheds becomes one huge watershed that empties into the ocean. But why should you care? From farms to small towns to cities, people's lives are connected by falling rain and flowing water, and where it goes. How you care for your land affects how much and how fast water flows to your neighbors downstream, and how clean that water is. And the way your upstream watershed neighbors care for their land affects you in the same way. For instance, if people upstream from you build houses, streets, and parking lots on the land that drains to your stream, you can expect more water to run off and at a faster pace, and your land is more likely to be flooded. Or upstream landowners who don't protect against soil erosion not only lose their soil, they dump sediment, nutrients, and other pollutants that affect everyone downstream. Without proper conservation, there are downstream consequences such as flooding, stream bank erosion, sediment-clogged lakes, and pollutants in drinking water. But those problems can be minimized if each of us does our part to hold the rain in place where it falls. We can help water soak into the soil by planting grasses, tilling the land less, using rain gardens, being careful of how much fertilizer we use, and doing many other things. But we each need to do our part. After all, we are all truly connected in a watershed, and we depend on one another to be a good neighbor.
Okay, so I thought that was a good video just to give an overview of what a watershed is and start us thinking on why that's important to protect our water sources. And so no matter where you are, you're always in a watershed. So, and they mentioned a rain garden, and maybe some of you have a rain garden or are thinking about putting one in. And I know Adam Leonberger on the call here has done a presentation on that before, and there is a recording of that, I think, on the Webinar Wednesday webpage. So if you're interested in that, that's also a great way, in addition to rain barrels, is having rain gardens to conserve water and reduce those pollutants going into our streams. So let's see if I can advance to the next slide. Hopefully you all are seeing the slide okay now.
Yep, you're good.
Okay, thanks. Okay, so now, we're going to move on to stormwater, since we talked about that, as we now understand a watershed, and now stormwater is rain that did not soak into the soil. So it's runoff from driveways and paved surfaces. So our rooftops, parking lots, roads in a watershed prevent the rainwater from soaking up into the soil, because of course it's a impervious surface. So as it runs off, it becomes what we call stormwater. And as it flows across those impervious surfaces, like those roadways and driveways, anything on the ground, any pollutants, cigarette butts, any kind of trash that's laying there, automotive fluids is a huge one. It's going to eventually end up in our streams, rivers, and lakes, as you saw from that watershed video. Oh, thanks, Adam. Just posted the rain garden video recording, so you can watch that to understand how to do a rain garden. And so rain barrels and also rain gardens can be used to capture that stormwater or even detain it and slowly release rainwater so that the amount of runoff is less, and also the amount of pollutants is less that is going into our streams. So of course it's an environmental issue, stormwater is, because of the sediment loads that travel into the rivers and streams. And then of course those are going to impact all of the aquatic species in your creeks and rivers that eventually go into our oceans. And as you know, that is a huge issue now of water quality. And we depend on that for our water source. So now we're going to talk about reducing municipal water use. And now we've already talked about reducing stormwater runoff as one of the great benefits of having a rain barrel. And now we'll talk about how it's great in reducing our water use. So in household water use, everything we purchase and consume, from food to electronics, indirectly increases our water use. So each of those things take water to produce. And they say that the average US family directly uses 320 gallons of water per day. If you can imagine, that's a lot of water. And up to 60% of that water is used outdoors. But it depends on where you live. Of course, you live out west or, different areas, that's going to be higher versus where we get, more rainfall here. But that's a majority of that is using for outdoor irrigation. And that's, of course, where rain barrels come in, is using for a use for to collect that water and reduce our municipal use by using the rain barrel water from for irrigation. And then, of course, if we are irrigating, a lot of that is wasted through evaporation, leaks, and runoff. So in Kentucky, they say Kentuckians use nearly 70 gallons of water per person per day. And of course, rain barrels are an inexpensive means of conserving that water by collecting the rainwater from our roofs. According to the United States Environmental Protective Agency, roughly 13 gallons of water, and I think I showed that little image in one of the first slides, can be saved during peak summer months by using a rain barrel. And as you know, water treatment, where they treat our water, it requires a lot of energy to do that, huge, large amounts of energy. And by conserving water through using rain barrels, we can decrease that demand and save on our energy. And so household, oh, that didn't come up the right. Shoot, I don't know why it's not showing all the percentages there. This shows indoor water use by fixture, but for some reason, it showed it on my slides and it's not showing it here. It's only showing the toilet and the shower doesn't have a percentage. So I apologize for that, but this is another image of that. And it just shows that outdoor irrigation is a significant part of what our water use, but then you can see how everything else is broken down, laundry and toilets being the next biggest water use. But outdoor irrigation, of course, being the largest use. So using rain barrels for outdoor watering, it's free water. And then, it has all the environmental benefits of conserving that water. And then it's a great irrigation source for our gardens. And it's great for plants because it doesn't have all the chlorines and other treatment they use in our municipal water. And so now we're going to go into the video that Adam and I did on building the rain barrel. So I'm going to stop my share here and share the screen where I'm building the barrel. Okay. Let's see here. Hi, everyone. So today we are going to talk about building a rain barrel. And first, we're going to do this demonstration on how to build it, and then we'll talk about the whole process after as well. But we wanted to show you hands-on how to do this. So this is a barrel that you can give the Lexington Container Company, which we will provide you the link for information on. It's $20. And the first thing we do, we ordered this kit that was about $35 for all the plumbing, but we'll also talk about the cost and everything after we do the demonstration. So the first step was that we had to measure 3 inches from the bottom of the barrel and make a mark. And that's where we're going to drill our first hole. It really doesn't matter where you put this mark on the barrel. So I have my first drill bit that came with this kit that we ordered, which is really nice. It's 1.25 inches. And it's going to make the hole size that we need to then fit in this rubber fitting along with our spigot. So the first step I'm going to do, because I'm drilling it on the bottom here, I'm going to sit on the barrel to stabilize it. It sometimes helps to have a partner. If you have someone sitting on the barrel, someone drilling to help you, hopefully I can get this drilled in okay without too much trouble. Otherwise, I might call Adam over here All right, that wasn't too bad. Okay, so now that we have, you can see a hole here drilled, I'm I'm gonna put the rubber fitting in here, which just slips right down on, hopefully, right down inside it. I'm gonna have to kind of wiggle it around a little bit. It might help to have like a screwdriver or something you could kind of poke the sides with to help push it in. There we go, got it in. And then the spigot goes right into that and it just screws in. So I'm gonna screw that in until it's all the way tight. Okay, so once it's all the way tightened, it is still sitting up a little bit. And you know what? I think I screwed the wrong side in because then I can't turn my handle. So you know, learn as we go. But for the purposes of this video, let's see, I don't want to take too much time doing this, but I will flip it around here so you can see that this part, which makes sense, would be going in so that your spigot's far enough off the barrel so you can turn it on and off. And then of course, this is where, you know, you will hook up your hose. So we screw that in and now we're all set to go. We can turn it on and off, hook our hose up here. So then the next step is that you position your barrel. It's going to be sitting on probably some blocks to have it sit up a little bit so that your hose can go under there and be able to gravity feed the water out. The next step is a hole on the back side or wherever your gutter is. So I have Not sure what happened here. Shows it's still playing, but for some reason. Shoot.
Can you back up a few seconds maybe and click?
Yeah. Go under there and be able to gravity. The next step is a hole on the back side or wherever your gutter is. So I have. Let me try fast forwarding and see if it works past. Looks like I'm just frozen. Oh, well, shoot. I'm sorry, guys. Let me see here. And we just have this one more hole to fill. We might have missed a little part. We'll show it toward the end, I think, again. So we will provide you with all this information as well in handouts, but basically the general, picture of this is that here's your gutter here. This is the hole we're drilling now. The little pipe that's flexible goes out and into your gutter, make the hole in your gutter. And here's the spigot that we just drilled. So it's really super simple. This is such a great way to water your garden. And now I'm drilling the hole that is going to be where the fitting goes to go to your gutter. It comes with everything you need, drill bits and everything. Sorry for the pause there. Not sure what happened. Okay, that was faster and easier than the last. So then we put this right into the hole. Fits right in.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, sorry. This is not. It's a rubber fitting, just like I did with the last one that fits in. And then I'm gonna pretend this is where we're putting this. Obviously, it wouldn't be up that high next to your house, but here's your spigot. Here is this flexible hose that can be pulled out to reach your gutter. You stick that in to this thing, and then you go in. Your gutter is right here. You've already drilled your hole. And actually this comes with the other fitting that you need to drill into your gutter, which is really awesome. So then this is a 2 1/8 inch that you would use to drill a hole into your gutter. And then this would stick into that, right? Okay. So yep, so then that sticks into your gutter. And I think that is everything with the kit. So now we'll talk about the process. Okay. All right. Well, you didn't miss anything that was important since you saw the part of getting, but so basically we just made the 2 holes, the one where the spigot goes that your hose hooks to at the bottom there, and then the one that goes into your gutter. So I'll close that out and start sharing my PowerPoint again. Let's see. Okay. All right. So we covered building the barrel. And now I did want to show you, and thanks to Adam for creating this cost comparison. So UK has a great publication on building a rain barrel from scratch. But the kit that we were using, of course, you buy the barrel, and the probably most reasonable place to get them from is the Lexington Container Company. And so you can Google Lexington Container Company, and they're $20 for the barrel. And they're usually like old, I think pickle barrels. Adam, you might know better than me, but barrels that have had food in them. So obviously they're safe to use. You always want to make sure that the barrels have been used for things that could safely then be used for our irrigation. And so he did a column here that shows like total do-it-yourself column. That would be parts that you would buy from, he priced them at Lowe's, but any of the box stores. And then of course, some things from Amazon. And then the barrel, of course, for $20 at Lexington Container Company. But then this kit that we got is from the rainbarreldepot.com. And that's what I was using in the video. And it actually is a cheaper way to do it. And it's so much easier than, especially if you don't have a lot of these parts, you know, maybe you have a lot of plumbing parts sitting around and it would end up being cheaper for you to do the DIY. That University of Kentucky publication that tells you how to do this explains all of it. And it even has a presentation. There's a 15-minute video, and I can get you the link for all that stuff when Jessica sends a follow-up email with all that information on those links. And so it provides all the information on exactly how to do this. But for the one that I did in the video, this kit that's already pre-made with everything you need in it from the rainbarreldepot.com is $35.95. And then if you want to buy screen to put over, there's holes on the top from where the barrels, I wish I would have showed a view of the top of the barrel, but there's these little holes with the caps on them. And if the cap is off of it, which sometimes they are, sometimes they aren't, then you would want to put a screen over that to protect from mosquitoes getting in. And then the zip tie to hold that on. So everything broken down is a grand total with the kit that was in the video for $71.11. And then the do-it-yourself is about close to $90. So let's see here. Oh, great. Adam, thanks for putting all that. He went ahead and put all those links in. So next slide here. Okay, so the next thing that we need to talk about is the location for your barrel. So obviously you want it to be flat. And you want it to be at least within 3 feet of the downspout, probably closer, because you see that flexible hose only is going to go out so much. So you want to position it, you know, within about that distance. And then you want to choose a downspout that collects probably the most water from, you know, the largest section of your roof. So whatever downspout collects from the most largest section on your roof. And then another thing to consider is you might want to place the barrel closer to your garden so that you don't have to run a hose as far. So that's another consideration when placing it. And then something that's required is raising the barrel off the ground. And you want to do that, you want to raise it at least 10 inches. And so that way it will have enough natural gravity to allow the water to come out of the hose to push it out without needing to pump. Now for the stand, you can buy, they have commercially available rain barrel stands, or you can just construct one, a simple one out of wood, cinder blocks, bricks, or patio pavers. But remember, a full barrel can weigh anywhere from 400 to 500 pounds. So once you place that and the rain barrel's full of water, you don't want to move it. Obviously you could drain it out, but you know, once you have it full of water, you're going to want to have it where it's going to be. So as far as the stands, here's just some examples of some that are built out of wood, some that are built out of cinder block. And then, of course, you know, as I mentioned, gravity works. The rain barrel should be higher than the ground. And then it's at here, it says 2 feet of height, 2 feet high up off the ground will give you about 1 pound of water pressure. And I'm not good at the whole, like, figuring out the pressure stuff. So Adam might be able to answer those questions if you have them better. But as you can see, different ways to use materials to raise that barrel up. Okay, so you found your location, you got your barrel built, but before you put it up, if you want to paint it, so like the barrels as you saw in the video is blue, and you might not necessarily want a big blue barrel. And I think you saw in some other picture, that one picture where I was playing the video, really cool one with fish on it. There's some other ones, some really neat paintings you can do. Even on a blue one, you can see in the right there, they did some hummingbirds on it. Some really neat things you can do if you're a good artist or have a friend do it for you that's a good artist. And one big thing, you definitely don't want to get a clear barrel. And if you do, you have to paint it. But with the blue barrel, it's not so crucial of sunlight getting in. But if sunlight gets in the barrel, then you're going to have a lot of algae growing in there, which you don't want. So you do want to prime the barrel. If you can get a plastic spray paint primer, you'll put that on first. Otherwise, you're going to have to sand it down so that paint will stick. And you can use any leftover house paint over that primer. And for really artistic barrels, as you saw in those pictures, you can use an acrylic paint over the primer. And then you want to protect your that coat of paint with a spray-on clear sealant, and that'll really keep it lasting more long-term. Some pro tips are to leave 2 inches, 2-inch strip at the top of the barrel so that you can see how full it is. Although with that blue barrel, you wouldn't be able to anyways, but some of them might allow you to be able to see into it. And you can also check with hardware stores for free or mismixed paint. Sometimes they have it at box stores where you can just get free paint. And I already showed these examples of what you can do. I was just looking, that one is on the ground, so they must not be using it. Okay, so as far as maintenance, as I mentioned, you want to protect it from light coming through, and then you're going to paint it to do that. To keep debris out that's coming in through your gutters, like particles of your roof off of your shingles, I couldn't think, off of your shingles, you can use a pantyhose over that, where that flexible hose is, the part that, the little part that goes into your gutter, you can put a pantyhose over that opening to help with that debris coming in. And then we talked about putting a screen. Oh, you can see in this picture, see the little caps on the top of the barrel there? That's what I'm talking about. The caps might not be on there. So then you'd want to put a screen over that to make sure that mosquitoes don't get in. If you do end up having a problem with the mosquitoes, you can get biological larvicides, and they can be found at pond supply stores. And those are all natural, so you don't have to worry about any chemicals getting in if you're using the water for irrigation. And during the winter, you want to store it like in your garage, or you can just open up all the spigots and drain it out and leave it out where it is. But you want to make sure you disconnect hoses and all that kind of stuff so they don't freeze. And then sometimes if the barrel gets nasty inside, you can always rinse it out with soap or bleach as needed. This is a good example of a barrel that's clear that I'm talking about, being able to see the water level in, and making sure you paint to not allow light to come through. There's ways to expand your storage off of one barrel. If you don't want to just you can put several on any, you could put a barrel at every downspout around your house, but you can also link several barrels together as long as you have the same elevation on a good level surface. So that's how some people collect even more. And I know this was a very short presentation today. I didn't realize I already whipped all the way through it, but it's always nice to be able to not be on a Zoom call for too long so we can go to the questions and answers. But basically, here's a list of resources, and I will provide this PowerPoint to Jessica to email it to you all after. And a lot of this is Building the Rain Barrel. That's the publication I mentioned from the University of Kentucky that talks about it, the DIY system, and then a video that goes along with that. And then, of course, you'll have this PowerPoint with the video that I did in there as well. So if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Adam. Adam, I'm putting you on this too, because you helped me do this part and have some experience with this as well. We'd be happy to answer any questions. So I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and see what questions.
So if anybody has any questions, feel free to type them into the chat box or unmute yourself. We've got one already in the chat box. If the barrel becomes too full of water, is there an issue with backup, or would excess water just flow down the drain with no problems?
Adam, you did a good explanation of that whenever we were putting the barrel together. Do you mind answering that?
So either way, both methods have an overflow option. The commercial kit one, the commercial part that goes into the downspout actually has a hole in the center. So it collects the water at the slow moving water that's coming down off the edges of the downspout, and that funnels that into the tank or into the rain barrel. The center hole, if it backs up and gets full, it'll actually then kind of start spilling over it back down the drain. Or if you have a torrential downpour, it won't just all go and overflow the barrel real quick. Excess will go down the downspout there. The DIY version of instructions, that part of that, and probably part of the reason that part of the cost is a little higher right now. It's not just lumber that the prices have increased, all the PVC piping and all that other stuff has increased as well, because I had done this a while ago and it's at least doubled from when I did it in 2018. But that one had a 2-inch pipe that ran up the inside, and it's kind of like an overflow in the back of a tank of like a toilet tank. If it overflows, it essentially goes into that 2-inch pipe that then drops down just next to the spigot. So that's how the excess water gets out without causing trouble.
Awesome. Thank you, Adam. I know she asked about keeping it filled. I'm sorry I didn't cover that exactly on the winter part, but yes, they recommend to drain it out prior to winter for sure. So you want to drain your barrel completely out. Thank you for asking that.
Do you know how big of a garden one full rain barrel will water?
I do not know, and that's a very good question, Brittany. I am not sure about that, but I could look and see if there's any information, unless you would know, Adam.
I could do some quick math on it, but it's going to depend on the size of your garden. Trying to think of cubic feet of water. So 1,000 square feet. Let me look up how much the volume of water in cubic square feet inches are. Cubic inches. Volume of cubic. But while I do that,
Yeah.
no one needs to sit there and watch me. Listen to me. If anybody has any other questions, we can ask that as well.
Yeah, feel free to unmute and ask questions as Adam's doing some math. And if he doesn't get that figured out, we could definitely have that information that we send to you as a follow-up email. Thanks for asking that. I think that'll be a neat thing to find out. I don't think I've been asked that before. Good to know. Any other questions anybody has? Hopefully this has inspired you to get a rain barrel. It's relatively inexpensive and such a great way to irrigate your garden and conserve water and reduce stormwater runoff, all of those great benefits. And it could be a fun art project for kids to do when you put the barrel up. But yeah, just a great thing to do. And definitely easy. I love the kit. I've done the DIY before too, but it's so much more involved. So I really like that kit that we got, because it just makes it so much more straightforward and easy to install and has everything you need.
Hey, I'll mention, depending on what county you're in, I know in Harrison County here, we have through our conservation district, they have a program, a cost share program for, it's called like backyard homeowner cost share program or something like that. And one of the projects that you can do is a rain barrel. So you can actually get some money for that just to offset your cost. It's like a 50-50 match. And it would depend on your county as far as if that is offered or not, but that would be something to look into with your conservation district.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. I know our conservation district here in Woodford County is considering doing that cost share program. We've done rain barrel presentations in the past each year, but of course with COVID, we haven't for the last couple years. So.
All right, so I've got the math kind of roughly figured out. I don't have all the exact numbers. So if you're going to if you're going to water a 10 by 10 garden and provide essentially like a full week's watering that, which means we're trying to get an inch of rainfall on the 10 by 10 square, you need about 62 gallons on it. So a 55-gallon barrel, if you were getting no other rain, would almost get that that whole space watered. Hopefully we don't get to the point that we are not getting that much water everywhere on it. So I hope we don't get that dry again this year, especially as wet as the spring has been. So,
Exactly. When we first had a little bit of a dry spell before it started raining, I was afraid it was going to be a hot and droughty summer, but now it's been raining nonstop. So, but clear forecast next week. So
Yep.
this would be a good time for a rain barrel.
I do mention, I apologize for that video. I was essentially, it was taking, so with all, we had too many other people that were taking Zoom meetings all yesterday. We're slowing our internet down. So I had to leave my computer overnight to finish uploading. And apparently the video file's fine, but the upload apparently broke. The video file broke on YouTube's end when it uploaded. So I'm re-uploading that file now. And apparently the random skipping to make sure it played, I skipped over that section that was frozen.
Of course. Well, thank you for doing it. I mean, we
Yeah.
didn't miss anything important anyway. So
No, but I'll go ahead and redo that and send that. We can send that out with the extra information.
awesome. Well, if there aren't any other questions, thank you all so much for joining. Definitely don't forget next week's composting class that Jessica will be teaching.